Ferruccio Lamborghini set out to build road cars that had nothing to do with racing. But 22 years after his sad demise, Lamborghini dropped this. The Huracan GT3 debuted in 2015 to race in the FIA GT3 class and immediately won its first race. And while some of its competitors have launched their all-new GT3 contenders twice since then, Lamborghini keeps updating their trusty old Huracan and somehow is still competitive in one of the most closely contested racing classes 8 years later. How does that even make sense? Let's find out. Hi, my name is Neil. Welcome to my channel. Today is day 5 here at Spa-Francorchamps and it's time for a GT3 race car. Today we are in the Lamborghini Huracan GT3, the first gen. It gets quite confusing, there have been generations. I'll cover all of that when we get to the hot lapping. As of now I am having this 5-lap race with 7 other Huracan GT3s to try and find out what a fast competitive lap time in this car around the Spa-Francorchamps is. Then we get to the hot lapping session where I target the fastest times we've seen during the race and try and get somewhat consistent at it over a few lap session as we talk more about the car. Then we get to the breakdown where we deep dive into the fastest lap we have seen during the hot lapping session and get to every details like turn-ins, braking points, exits, technical stuff like that. As of now, join you at the end of the race. And here are the race results. I did miss out on the fastest lap by a tenth, less than a tenth actually. The fastest lap was done by car number 5 at a 2 minutes 22.556. I was pretty close with the 2 minutes 22.625. Actually got 2 purple sectors out of 3. Now on the surface, this all looks very competitive, right? Not quite. See, I started this race from 8th position like I do in all the races in this series, and I took lead at the very end of the 3rd lap. Now by the time I was almost done with my 4th lap, I noticed the cars were falling behind. So in the last corner I decided to slow down, so I let the gap come to just under a second so that I could give the cars behind me a tow, a slipstream, just to see how fast they are actually capable of going. And yeah, it worked. The 3 cars just behind me, car number 2, 3 and 4, all got their fastest lap in the last lap. Now, why did I need to pull off such a stunt, you may ask? Well, take these results for example. Yeah, I did get the fastest lap, but a pretty trashy one at that. Anyway, look at the other times. Some of the cars had a fastest lap of a mid 225 and some of them were down to a 226 in the last lap. Here's another one, look. I didn't bother to slow down and give the AI cars a slipstream, and here's the result. The gap between me and the second car was 9 seconds. Okay, here's our target for the hot lapping session though. Anything faster than a mid 2 minutes 24 is technically competitive, but since we are already in the 222s, we should try and stay clear of those times. I'll target a sub 224 at least. Anything between mid 222 up until 224 is enough to keep up with the AI cars. And by the way, I think this car has a sub 222 time in it. I have gone in the 221s, not very commonly, but I will try to replicate a sub 222 time for the sake of the breakdown. But even a very low 2 minutes 22 is enough to start right from the back of the pack and build a 9-second lead within just 5 laps. So there you go. Time for the hot laps now. Before we start, as usual, I'll show you the setup I'm going to use. Everything will be in default, at least all the mechanical bits. Only thing we're going to add is 20 liters more fuel, so let's make it 50. And change the traction control settings to 5. We'll leave the ABS at 3 and no other changes whatsoever to speak of. Okay, here we go. That's the start of our session. Now 50 liters of fuel should give us about 14-16 laps, something like that. It's going to need this lap's time to warm up its tires. These are slicks after all. Look, it's understeering like crazy already. Meanwhile, let's talk about the car a little bit. So in the beginning of the video I was telling you about a lot of generations. Well, this was the first one. It debuted in 2015 right alongside the road going Huracan. It was in service for 5 years from 2015 up until 2019. In 2020, it got replaced by the Huracan GT3 Evo. Just like the 488 GT3, the Ferrari that we drove on day 5 of the Imola. Link here in the I button over there. That car also got an Evo model as an update. Unlike the 488, however, which got totally replaced by the 296 GT3 from this year, Lamborghini gave another update to the Evo called the Huracan GT3 Evo 2. All three of these cars use the 5.2 liter naturally aspirated V10, which is an evolution of the engine that was used way back in the Lamborghini Gallardo. This engine has served Lamborghini for close to 2 decades now. For the last 1.5 decades, this engine has also served as the power plant in the Audi R8, which I drove on day 3 of Spa-Francorchamps a couple of videos back. And my god, from that video, the engine was the only high point. I hated driving that car, but the last surviving high revving naturally aspirated V10 in production didn't deserve such a send off. Combined with the sounds of those straight cut gears, the whine, all the mechanical noises, this engine sounds all the more sensational than in the road cars. Unlike the road cars, however, where this engine produces up to 640 horsepower in the likes of the Huracan STO and the Performante, this is a GT3 race car, so it has to comply with regulations. This engine in this particular car produces around 500 to 520 horsepower. Although that's the actual car I'm talking about. In this game, this car is listed to have 600 horsepower. Torque is roughly the same though at 510 Newton meters, as is the weight, just over 1200 kilograms, 1230-ish. When the Huracan GT3 Evo launched, by the way, it brought a power upgrade with it, although not as much as this car is producing in the game. It produced 580 horsepower. Torque was down by 20 Nm though. Oops, went off track just before that corner. Anyway, I was talking about the Evo. It had less torque than the first Huracan GT3, this exact car, by around 20 Newton meters. It had like 488 Nm as far as I can remember. The Evo 2, like I said, most of its upgrades were aerodynamic, so it also came as an upgrade kit for the teams that owned the Evo already. Yes, this is a GT3 race car. Lamborghini sold these cars to independent teams as well. Now, if you've been following the car space, at least Lamborghini, for the past couple of years, you'll be aware of a very hardcore road going version of the Huracan called the Huracan STO. Now you might think a car like that will be based on the GT3 race car, the Huracan GT3 or the Evo or whatever. But it's the other way around. The GT3 Evo 2 is based on the Huracan STO. So yeah, you've heard of homologation specials. The STO is the other way around. Now, like I said, Lamborghini had sold these cars to independent teams as well, and they really didn't have any problem selling those because this car was that competitive. Even in the game, by the way, compared to other GT3 race cars, this is right at the top of the food chain. I have already covered 3 more GT3 race cars in this particular series already. The Nissan GTR GT3, the BMW Z4 GT3, the 480 GT3 by Ferrari, and this car. And this game also has the McLaren 650S GT3, the MP412C GT3, I'm repeating myself now, and the Mercedes AMG GT GT3. None of those cars, at least in the stock settings, are this predictable, this confident. That's not to say this car is perfect in any way, shape, or form. Ferrari 488 GT3, for example, you've seen me drive that car, right? If not, the link is in the I button, by the way. But hear me out first. Whoops. Anyway, the 488, it has a stronger front end, and though it's not quite as confident as this car under power, it's more reactive. So overall, it's as fast as this car around any track, probably even faster in some. Same goes for the 650S GT3 by the way, from McLaren. What it suffers, particularly in the stock settings, is riding the curves like this in particular, with a slight angle, which is what makes this car so special. Yes, this is a GT3 car, actual race car. This should be unruly, this should be difficult to manage, and yet it isn't. Now, despite me calling this car easy to drive over the last few laps, the lap times tell otherwise. So let's restart this session. Okay, starting the new session. Same settings, same everything. Let's see what this car's got. Alright, that's the end of 12 very nice laps. Let's conclude the session and look at the lap times. And here they are, and I said I'll try to achieve some sub 222 times, and well, I did quite a few actually. 5 of the 12 laps, 5 right? Yeah, were in the mid 221s, mid to high 221s. The fastest was a 2 minutes 21.507. That's the one we are going to look at during the breakdown. Now, a couple of laps worth mentioning. In lap number 5, well, I started to see some frame drops, so I had to pause the game. Didn't quite manage to restart very smoothly, so lost a couple of seconds there. The 11th lap, however, well, I had, well, this. And the lap was over. That happening in the penultimate lap was particularly more frustrating because of how good the rest of the session was. Anyway, 2 minutes 21.5 is the best I could do for today, and here's the breakdown. Joining you on the start finish straight to start the lap. First up is turn 1, brake right past the 100 marker on the left. Release as you steer into the corner, get back on the throttle at the apex, and gently floor it at the exit. Next up is turn 2, 3 and 4, the famous A Rouge. Release throttle at the apex of turn 2, use the weight transfer to the front to steer into turn 3 and flat out through turn 4, and you won't even need brakes. Oh, the magic of aerodynamics. Onto the camel straight, coming up is turn 4, 5 and 6. Hit brakes right where the curves on the left start, back on throttle at the apex of turn 5 and modulate around turn 6 and 7. Floor it at the exit of turn 7. For turn 8, again brake at the start of the entry curves. Release as you enter, modulate your throttle around turn 8. Be patient and floor it at the exit. Dab of brakes for turn 9 and back on throttle at the apex, flat out through the exit. Next up is turn 10 and 11. Brake halfway along the curves on the right, downshift to 4th and release at the entry. Modulate your throttle and floor it at the exit, flat out through turn 11. Next up is turn 12 and 13. Brake where the entry curves on the left start, carry your brakes into turn 12, modulate your throttle around turn 12 and 13, floor it at the exit of turn 13. Short dab of brakes for turn 14, back on throttle at the apex and floor it at the exit. Make full use of the exit curves to set your car up for turn 15. Do it right and you can take turn 15 flat out. Same story through turn 16 and 17, have faith on the downforce and take them flat out. Coming up are the final two corners, turn 18 and 19, the chicane. Brake right in between the 100 and 150 markers on the left, downshift to 2, release as you enter turn 18, modulator throttle around turn 18 and 19 and floor it at the exit, as the 5.2 liter V10 unleashes all its horses to take you across the line in a 2 minutes 21.507. So that's it for today and in turn for this series as well. Now that we have covered so many variety of cars and a variety of tracks, and since this channel is actually on sim racing, how about we do some racing now? Well, upcoming videos will focus more on that. So now's the time to hit that subscribe button. While you're down there, let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment box. Also, if you have any favorite car or track that you want to be featured in this channel, let me know about those as well and I shall try to cover them. While you're at it, hit like if you liked it, share if you loved it. Down at the bottom left of your screen is a video that YouTube thinks you should watch, and on the top right is a playlist containing all the other episodes of the How to Hotlap series. I'll see you there. Until then, drive hard, drive safe. Take care.